Welcome back, everybody, to the Next Level Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Leslie. Oh my God, welcome to Season 2. I am so excited. I have an amazing guest who's going to be launching Season 2 with me, but before we get to him, I really just want to thank everyone for all of the amazing support from Season 1, and this season is going to be even better because I have a little bit more of my personality coming through as well as my guests. I'm throwing in a few games, a little bit more kind of pulling out the fun in my guests and myself. So you're going to be still learning all of those skills and tools you need to create the life that you want, the wealth, the health, the vitality, the fulfillment that you want and desire, while also having a great time. So this is going to be an awesome season. Stick with me and let's get started. All right, Dan Holtz, welcome, welcome.
Well, thank you, Leslie. Great being here. I'm so happy to be a part of your podcast tonight.
Thank you so much. And this is like your first or second or one of your first podcasts, right?
You know what? I've only done a couple. Yeah, it's been, I just did one back east with Tony last week, actually. And so a couple, but not much. So,
right.
Yeah.
That is Tony Robbins for all of you out there. Tony Robbins. Yeah. And that's amazing. It was on the EE system. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole nother world.
That's
right?
a whole other world, and we've talked about this. So for those of you who don't know, I've known Dan for many years now.
Yeah,
We were going to
yeah.
work together back when I was an NP. And
That's probably about 8 years ago.
my God, is it long? Wow, the pandemic like stole years from us.
Yeah, for sure.
It literally feels like 2 or 3.
I know.
But yeah, it was about that long before I started my regenerative practice. It just timing wasn't right.
That's right.
And then I worked with you briefly with your Beverly Hills Rejuvenation Center, which you're the co-owner of.
Yep.
And yeah, we both had this shared vision for wanting to life hack our way through to living forever, basically, and healing and regenerating. And then you discovered this EE system, and I had a friend in my tango community who was the daughter of the inventor. It was just like all meant to be. And now Tony has one of these machines, and you're getting one, and you're like starting a clinic.
Yeah. I'm very excited about it. The technology is crazy. You know, energy healing is the new frontier, and it was hormones. I got involved in hormones back 25 years ago, and nobody knew what a hormone was, right? But now I feel like the whole world knows about hormones, right? So we've come a long way, but now energy healing is the new real frontier. And to me, that's just like, I'm as excited as I could be about it. It's mind-blowing what it's done for me in the last 8 months. And I can't wait to get a system, get you in there, and have you experience what I've experienced and just blow your mind.
Yeah, well, when we went to trial out the EE system, I mean, I remember we're totally promoting the EE system. This was not meant to be. They're not sponsoring this. Right. It's just an amazing device, and I'm so much into energy medicine. But when we went into that room, I literally stumbled back.
Yeah,
remember that? I'm like, I felt it. It was
Mm-hmm.
palpable. And this is not quackery. There's so many people that, energy medicine, it's fluffy and quacky. And no, this is real. Yeah. There's actual science behind it.
Yeah.
And, the videos that you shared with me, and, all the research that I've done too, it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It's basically creating a frequency for the cells to be healthy and regenerate.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, it.
Yeah, it's the science is there. If you spend the time, you can understand it. It makes a lot of sense how it works, and boy, it does work. So we're going to have to get in depth about that sometime, and really, I mean, I think there's so many people out there that you're speaking to that would really, have a change of life if they ever experienced it. So,
well, why don't you share a little bit about your experience with it? I mean, you're going to be opening a center, right?
We can talk about it for sure. So about 8 months ago, so really it's been about 15 years that I've had bone on bone in my shoulder joints, right? And so about 15 years ago, I thought I had tendonitis really bad in my shoulders, and I went in for an x-ray in the orthopedic guy's office, and he looked at the x-rays and he said, "Oh no," he goes. And I said, "What's the problem?" He said, "Come over here for a minute." And I came over, and he had the x-rays there, and he said, "Look at this." you see this? He said, that's supposed to look like this. And I go, oh boy, wow, it sure doesn't, does it? And he goes, I never even knew you could destroy joints this bad. I never even knew you could even get them this bad, because they literally were just destroyed, right? And he said, how are you even functioning? And I said, poorly, because I'm in a lot of pain.
Right.
And he said, you're done. And I go, well, what do you mean I'm done? And he said, that's it, you're done. You are no longer driving race cars, lifting weights. Your life as you know it is over right now, brother. And I go, what are you talking about? And he said, there's nothing you can do to fix this. You can't. And he said, shoulder replacement is a disaster. He goes, you're done. You have to stop doing everything that you're doing. I mean, you're just lucky, to be even able to brush your teeth pretty soon. I mean, it's so bad.
Wow.
And I said, you really believe that, don't you? And he said, well, yes, I do. I know it. And I said, let me tell you something. And I said, I'll find a way somehow to keep going. And I'll find a way. I will. I don't know what it's going to be, but someday I'll find a way. And I'll keep going. And I'll make it through this, and I will not stop doing what I'm doing. I refuse to lose. And I'm going to figure out a way to survive and keep going, and I'm going to come back here someday, and I'm going to show it to you, and then I'm going to teach you to never tell people that they're done, because I said I'll never be done, and I'll never accept it until I absolutely have to. Other than that, I'm just going to find another way. Well, it was a great conversation, right? And I was pretty optimistic, but 15 years later, I was still in trouble. And I was in a lot of trouble. I was struggling to survive. I mean, I couldn't sleep. I would make it an hour, and then maybe I'd get up and move my shoulders for 15 minutes or so, and maybe I could sleep for another hour. And I did that for years. And so I'd get...
How did you not lose your mind?
Oh,
literally.
it was sleep
Maybe
deprivation was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Did you ever feel like just taking the exit? Like taking the exit, like just saying, screw this, I'm out. It's that much pain, because it was painful.
I don't believe in suicide at all. So for me, but I will say this, about 9 months ago, I was having thoughts of, I race cars, right? Mm-hmm. So I was having thoughts of, boy, it might be kind of nice to exit in a bad race car crash. It's what I love to do. And if it happened, I die doing something I love to do, and at least I'd be done with the pain, right? Because it was so bad. I just couldn't figure out how I was going to keep going. But then a guy calls me up, and he said, hey, do you know anything about the EE system? And I said, no, never heard of it. And he said, well, my dad's got Parkinson's real bad, and I'm going to take my dad. There's a place in Las Vegas, and I'm going to go there and check it out. And he said, supposedly it's good for Parkinson's. I go, yeah, I don't know anything about it. And he explained what it is and what it was. And I said, I think I did hear something about this from our medical director over at our centers in Las Vegas here about 7 years ago. But I said I never really looked into it. But I do remember him saying something about it. And so this guy said, well, I'm going to go check it out, and I'll let you know what I think. So he called me after he spent 3 hours in the place, and he said, it was pretty interesting. He goes, I think it's kind of a weird, you go in and there's these computer screens and kind of strange. But he said, I felt something. And he said, when we walked out of there, my dad's tremors were much better. They had reduced quite a bit. He said, we're going to go back tomorrow and do another 3 hours. And I said, all right, keep me posted. So we went back the next day, did another 3 hours. Yeah, you just go in there and take a nap, basically. You don't do anything, right? And so he calls me up and he said, something, I really think you should give this a shot. And I go, all right, what the hell? I'll go over there and check it out. So I went over there, and I went there for 3 hours. I went in with a lot of pain, and I came out with a lot of pain. It didn't do a damn thing for me. And I was a little disappointed. I thought, wow, I kind of was a little bit excited and thinking maybe this would be something that would help the shoulder pain. Didn't do a thing. And I walked out of there, and I thought, well, disappointing, but I'm going back because I've got no other thing to do. I don't know what the hell else to do, so I'm just going to try some more.
Yeah.
So the next time I booked a 6-hour session, which a couple days later, and so that would mean about 9 hours worth of sessions within about 3 days, right? So I went back, I went in there 6 hours. When I walked in, such chronic pain, I couldn't hardly move my arms. It was that bad.
Wow.
I came out of there for the first time in 15 years completely pain-free. I didn't even feel a thing. You could have never, it was the weirdest thing because I had never been out of pain in like 15 years. I couldn't even remember what it felt like to feel that good.
Wow.
And I slept through the night for 2 nights, and I went, I am so happy I just found my way. And I finally found a way to get out of pain, you know. So I went back, and I started doing sessions once a week. I'd go in for 6 hours, and it just got better and better and better. And then after a while, I was going all week with no pain. Like, so it just got better and better.
You're kidding.
Oh,
A
no, I'd
whole
go,
week?
by the 5th month, I'd go 7 days without pain, but I'd just go back anyway, you know, and do it because I knew it has an
that's
accumulative
huge.
effect. So the more you do it, the kind of the better you get. And so it was just crazy because it turned my whole life around. So that's my new major, like, you know, movement towards energy healing. And so I got excited. And of course, I wanted to open up my own business with this. So I love Las Vegas. So of course I had to do it up here. And so now I'm going to be putting a center in, a center that's really powerful. The one I was going to in Henderson is outstanding. It's a 24-screen system, which is super powerful, but I'm doing a 48, which is going to be mind-blowing.
Wow.
Right? So it's going to be a super powerful experience. And
So you'll get like twice the amount of results,
that's
basically.
right. It
or in a shorter
really
period
is
of time.
even more. It
Really?
compounds. It's like massively more than a 24. It's really shocking. But the 24, I'm not here to say anything bad about a 24 because
Right.
they're so good.
Right,
A
right.
24 is all you really need, but I wanted to have a system that was just
But it's,
insane.
it's not Dan Holtz style. Dan
That's right.
Holtz style
That's
is
right.
you go
You
all
bring
in
it,
to
right?
the wall.
I know.
It's great.
24 would have been fine, but you know, I want people to be able to get massive healing in a short period of time. So
Yes.
like if they're in there, because time is everything, right? It's like, who in the hell has time? So if you're going to go in one of these places, I want to move the needle in 2 hours more than most people could move it in 6 or 7 hours, you know? So that was my goal, is to make it so it's rapid healing.
Sure.
And so that's what we're doing. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you've slept overnight, right?
Oh, yeah.
In the machine?
So just Tuesday night, the last month, every Tuesday night, I've been going in at 9 p.m., walking out at 7 a.m. And I do these overnights. And this room was tight full of people with cancers and everything. One woman was in there one night, I got to tell this story. And I asked her, what are you here for? And she said, I had melanoma in my ear canal. And she said, you know, they did a surgery, but I had tumors pop up all over my neck. Well, she came into the EE system, and she was sitting there, and she felt she has all these tumors all over her neck, and she starts feeling these prickling, tingling feelings.
No way.
3 hours later, all the bumps are gone on her neck. All the tumors literally. And see, what it does is when you put the cells between 70 and 90 millivolts, of course, cancer cells struggle because that puts them at alkalinity. Right. When cellular voltage gets in that 70 to 90, cells go alkaline, right? And alkaline, and you know, cancer loves acidic, right? And alkaline is not a good environment. So, so it kind of is a challenging environment for cancer to survive. So, you know, it's one of those deals where if you spend enough time in there, it's just a really positive thing for overall health and vitality. And you hear some amazing stories in there when you're in there from people that are experiencing it, you know.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So excited for you to bring it. Like
Thank
the
you.
moment you get them, let me know.
Oh,
I will be in there.
I cannot wait to have you in, for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And you know, when you launch the center, let me know. We'll have you on the podcast and we'll promote it as well. I mean,
well, great.
yeah, this was, again, it was so impromptu to talk about it, but I mean, this is an important part of, again, the next level and the up and coming technologies. And I mean, I'm such a believer in energy, not just in ourselves and the power that we can harness within ourselves to create and regenerate and just, create the life that we want. But all this outside support to help us create like you intended. What's so beautiful is you wanted this 15 years ago.
Yeah.
You struggled, you hung in there, and here it is, your creation came to you, and now you're going to help so many people.
Yeah, that's what's so cool is I love the idea that I'm going to be able to provide something that's going to help so many people and change so many lives. That gets me going.
Yeah.
Because, when you're lost yourself, I know that drives you. And you and I talked about this. When you're struggling so bad with some challenge in your life and then you find your way, it's so exciting to be able to offer the information to other people and help them find their way. And it feels so good watching others, break through and just get their life back. And it's just a beautiful way to live your life. It feels great.
It is. And that's really the next level for you. You have done your hormone journey, which we have to get into. It's so amazing how your first health challenge sort of led you into mastering hormones and creating this very, very successful brand. And now you're going to be kind of shifting into a whole other way of healing and helping people. It's amazing.
It's just, when you look at your life, I know that part of what you want to do here is really drive a message to people about, never giving up and getting through challenges and that. But I look back and you look at the challenges you go through, and the older you get, you really do realize that every challenge is here to serve you.
Yeah.
It all goes the way it's supposed to go, and it really does. And when I look back, as bad as I really didn't want the challenge I was going through at the time I was going through it, had I not gone through those things, I wouldn't know the life that I'm living. It's given me the most amazing life I could ever wish for, and it's just been really amazing. And they were tremendous challenges, but I didn't give up.
Yep.
I kept digging and I kept fighting to find my way through. And luckily, here we are.
So you remember, I think, when I was going through a lot of my challenges and we first kind of reconnected, I think I told you I really didn't like when you said it always goes as it's supposed to go.
Right.
Because I felt like, again, I was very disempowered. I was very sort of traumatized from my journey. I felt like, firstly, angry, of course, that I had to go through it, as I'm sure you did and most people do who have gone through a lot of challenges they've had to overcome. It's a challenge for a reason. It's not fun, and we don't usually like it.
Yeah.
But I also feel like we have a certain amount of choice, right, in being able to create from that in a certain way or not. Because a lot of people I see don't choose to take these opportunities. They choose to exit, or they choose not to really walk into and embrace their challenge. So, I felt like it always goes how it's supposed to go. Yes, it makes sense to me now, but I didn't like it because I felt like my experience wasn't going the way I wanted it to and the way I thought that it was supposed to, even though I was doing things, I was taking action. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then look at you today. It's going exactly the way you wanted it to go. And so, the funny thing is, so something happens and we view it as a negative. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like what's happening. But guess what's happening? It's driving you a direction that you need to go. It is crazy how, and so you think it's a negative. It's actually a positive because it's pushing you towards what you want to happen. And it's crazy. So, and I, a couple of weeks ago, our CEO at Beverly Hills Rejuvenation Center, right? He's going through a really tough time, a really challenging time with some things at work. And I said, Greg, I said, it all goes the way it's supposed to go. And he's like, oh God, here you go again. Here you go again with that. And I said, trust me, 2 weeks from now, you're going to look back on this moment and you're going to realize I was right. Well, this weekend, he was up here in Vegas. I was judging the Miss Nevada competition over there.
Oh, nice.
And afterwards, he came up to me, and he was out in the audience. He came up to me and he said, "Hey, I just want to tell you, remember when you said 2 weeks later we'd be talking about it?" He said, "You're right." He said, everything has worked out so good. I could have never believed how good it all went. And he said, 2 weeks ago, I couldn't see it. I just couldn't see it.
Wow.
But he said it had to go that way to get us where we're at today. And I said, that's just it. So, just try to just be in acceptance of those moments, right, that come where you just go, oh, man, I don't like the way this feels. I don't like the way it looks. Just know it's actually there to serve you, to drive you where you need to be. So it's still a good thing, even though it feels like it's not. It is. Yeah. It'll drive you right where you need to go.
So what about the people who choose not to or resist?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen, with the clients that I've worked with, it becomes like a pressure cooker where it's, you will learn this lesson one way or another. And there are people that will just resist and resist and resist and almost get pushed into what they need to do. But in terms of lesson learning, but what about in terms of creation, like in manifesting? So let's think of it in the positive side. Do you feel it still holds true, it always goes as it's supposed to go when it comes to someone wanting to, create their dream? I mean, because there's free will choice.
Yeah. Oh, no. And there certainly is.
Yeah.
There's absolutely free will choice. But you have to accept, now, if I make a choice, no matter what it is, I can also choose that whatever comes with that choice is supposed to be there. I don't have to choose that whatever that is a negative. I can look at a dear friend that might be addicted to drugs, and he literally has to go out on the street and live in the street and suffer and just go through sheer hell. And I can just say, well, it's going the way it's supposed to go. He's supposed to suffer. She's supposed to suffer. And when they get done suffering and they want to make a change, they'll make that change. And it's hard to watch, but it's going the way that it's supposed to go. And you can just be at peace with it. You can go, I don't have to control it. I can let it be what it is, and I can accept it. See, if I judge it as it shouldn't be there, then I'm in resistance to what is, which means I'm fighting something that the universe is trying to bring me. Why would I do that? Only if I assumed that the universe was trying to bring me something bad, right? Why would the universe want something bad for me? Right. The universe would only want good for me. So if it's coming to me, it must be good, right?
Right.
It has to be good.
Yeah.
How could it be bad? Why would the universe want bad for me? So here it is. It's a bump in the road. It doesn't feel great, but I go, okay, thank you for this. And then I accept it. And I'm ready to see what beauty comes out of it, because I'm just going to keep going. And I'm going to plan that it's here to serve me. So I refuse to see it any other way.
Right.
I'm just going to swallow hard and just get through it. And I'm just going to plan that it'll serve me somehow.
Right.
It just makes accepting things pretty damn easy. It just makes life easier.
It's true. And I think that's probably been a big key to your success over the years, is you kind of go with the flow, but you have this very strong belief in this.
Yeah.
You know that you are being supported. You know that everything is really working for you. And in that,
I didn't always see it this way, Leslie. Let me tell you something.
When did it click for you? When did it click?
Oh, man. Even 6 months ago, I was struggling. It's just, it's really funny, but it's gotten easier. I went through a bunch of challenges last fall that were just so difficult, but it forced me to go, okay, you say these things. You say them all the time. But if you're being real, then you own it, and you make sure that you don't just say it to others. It's got to apply to you too. And so then I go, all right, I accept it. I'm going to just do what I can to be of service right now and help in any way I can and not be judging this as a bad thing. I'm just going to, so it's the last 6 months have been just fantastic for that, for learning to get through challenging times and still just keep that. I'm going to see it all work out. That attitude it really is a beautiful way to live your life if you can do it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I remember you saying before we started recording, you were in a race recently.
Yeah.
We didn't get a chance to talk about your accident.
Yeah,
You got into a crash. You've been in many accidents on the on the raceway.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
That I'm sure comes in handy when you get to an
Yeah,
accident.
oh,
Your
it
mindset.
does, because, racing is so tough. Like everything that can go wrong. One little loose bolt can ruin your whole race, and you go through so many difficult times, like this last race where at lap 100 with 7 to go, I'm passing a guy for second. He gets sideways off the wall, hits the wall, and comes back across the racetrack and hits me while I'm passing him and knocks me into a spin. And then I hit the wall real hard and tore my car all up. And luckily I didn't get hurt bad or anything. But, you battle the whole race, and you just, my right foot had burned, I had blisters all over my foot because it was so hot. It was like 160 degrees in the car, and car was overheating, and then the foot box where your feet go turned red hot and started melting my damn foot, right? And so
my God.
I crash, and then I climb out, and I'm all beat to hell, and I've got the foot all blisters all over it and everything, and you just go, 7 more laps, So you go from, you're almost there, and then the race before that, I had a problem too. I was running up front, and it's just,
Oh my God.
there's so many disappointments, and that attitude has got me through so many challenges, because I come back to the pits and the guys are all disappointed, and I go, guys, it all goes the way it's supposed to go.
Right.
We were one of the fastest cars here. We put on a show, and if we weren't competitive and we weren't fast, maybe we'd have something to be disappointed in. We were fast. We were capable of winning. We just didn't win. So don't see it as a loss. See it as a win, and we just move on. We're still very competitive, very fast, and we can still win races, so we got to celebrate that. So you just find something to be grateful for, and you just, move on.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that so much. Gratitude was very difficult for me to do. I learned how valuable and important it really was. It's hard to be grateful in the middle of something really, really heavy.
But boy, when you can learn to do it,
Yeah.
look out. You're becoming dangerous then.
Yeah.
Because life can't get you down. You become bulletproof. When you can live in gratitude in challenging times, you're becoming a force that's going to be pretty damn powerful in the world, because look out, man. When you can look up and say, I'm so happy to be a part of this, and I just still love all these wonderful, moments that are coming, and I'm just going to walk right through these challenges and keep digging. And you're a force, man. When you get to that point, look out, world, because you're unstoppable.
Right.
You can't be beat.
Yeah.
You just won't lose, because you can't lose, because all you do in your mind is just keep winning. You keep believing that it's all a gift, no matter what it looks like. And it's really powerful, and what it does to your mind. And it's pretty amazing stuff.
It is. And being able to really get the feeling of that gratitude, like what I utilized going through my journey was not just the mindset, but I had to feel it. When I literally would bring the feeling of gratitude or love or bliss or whatever I was working on and feel it in my cells, and vibrate with it, literally and it had such a profound effect on my physiology. It kept me feeling good because, as we think and feel, it has a very powerful and direct effect on our physiology.
Oh, it's so true,
I mean,
Leslie.
yeah.
Cellular voltage, it's now proven scientifically that cellular voltage drops dramatically when you have negative thoughts and negative interactions. Cellular voltage goes up. Okay, so cellular voltage increase goes towards alkalinity. Cellular voltage decrease goes towards acidity. Cancer breeds in acid. Cancer dies in alkalinity, right? So you're so right. That mind and what we say and what we speak, our ears hear everything our mouth says.
Right.
So we got to be real careful what's coming out of there. The communication we're sending out. What's really bad is that you're going to judge yourself based on what you say. So be very careful what comes out. Right.
Right.
We gotta be our own cheerleader, because if you don't believe in you, boy, good luck trying to get the rest of the crowd to support you. Right.
Yes.
So you got to be a fan of Leslie, right? I got to be a fan of Dan, and we got to try and support ourselves with the right kind of messaging and keep that mindset really positive. Just stay in that mindset where you refuse. You just find something to love, find something to see that you can appreciate, and pull you out of that state of down and negative. Because you really can just snap your fingers and change your state. You can force it. You can go, I refuse. I heard a podcast the other day. This guy, oh my God, he was amazing. I wish I knew his name. But he was in a terrible car accident, and his story was amazing. And he was laying in the hospital, and they said he'd never walk again and all these things. And the guy came out of it. He made a decision in the hospital never to spend more than 5 minutes down negative. He refuses. He's okay with 5 minutes. He said, if something happens and I hate it, I'll give myself 5 minutes, and then that's it. And I will not spend 1 minute more. I allow myself a few minutes of that negativity, and then he said, I snap my fingers, and that's it. It's time to move on. And he's defied all of the doctors said he'd never walk and all these things, and he's got his whole life back together. He's a motivational speaker. He's going around changing lives all over the world, and I can't think of his name. I wish I could, because he deserves to be remembered. I can't believe I didn't remember it, but it was just such a powerful thing listening to him, and I thought, boy, you got it right, buddy. That 5 minute rule is just beautiful, because, just all right, I'll wallow in that moment a little bit, and then I'm done with it. I'm moving on. Time to go back to what I believe in.
Right. God, that's amazing. I absolutely love that. All right, we are going to have you take a look at my hormones.
Okay.
So we're backtracking. We're going back into what you've mastered.
Okay. Let's do it.
Since we went into this impromptu, exciting new direction you're going into. So Dan has truly mastered hormones. So you can talk a little bit about your story if you want to.
Okay.
But really, I mean, he's told me, and I've listened to this so many times. I've sat with him talking to different people about this, and your journey was really amazing, and how you came to your understanding about hormones. And it's very new, and really, I mean, you're working from the thyroid, right? And that whole concept and cortisol and everything that you had explained to me, just very different than how traditional Western medicine talks about it. But you really discovered this by sort of being a mad scientist and playing with your own physiology.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Well, 25 years ago, when I first realized that I had hormone problems, right, and I had deficiencies, at the time, there was no place to go to get help. And I didn't know what was wrong with me. I just knew that I got in a bad crash at Phoenix International Raceway, and it took them 45 minutes with the jaws of life to cut me out of the car. And then they airlifted me in on a helicopter to, like Phoenix Hospital. And I woke up about half a day later, right? And really no broken bones, but I was in crazy pain, like pain I never even knew was possible. So the G-forces, NASCAR had a black box in the car, right, that measured G-force. It was right after Dale Earnhardt died. And they were doing studies on our cars to see on impact what kind of G-forces we pulled, right? And so when they took the black box out, NASCAR engineers said, we ran it like 10 times because we couldn't believe what we saw. And they said the energy it takes to kill a human being, you were 7 times that. They said if it were even double, there'd be no possibility of living, not even possible. So they said there's no explanation how you live through it. I literally broke the Hans device, the straps that go to the helmet, and I snapped the straps. I mean, it's just, they said you can't be alive. It's just not possible. But here you are. So I don't know what that's about, but apparently it wasn't my time to go, right?
Apparently.
But I woke up in an MRI tube, and the first thought I had is I wish I had died, because I was just wore out, beat up, used up, and I was running a construction company doing a lot, and I was so stressed out all the time, and I had just beat myself to death with stress, really. And I thought, man, I just don't even really want to be here anymore. I just feel like hell. I'm aches and pains all over my body and exhausted. And I was a guy that worked out a lot, right? And so, but the harder I worked out, the skinnier and weaker I got. I couldn't put on any muscle to save my life. And I had erectile dysfunction. I had every kind of problem you can imagine. And I just kept thinking, what in the hell am I going to do, right? So I thought there's got to be a way to figure out what's going on with me. I started going to doctors and did a bunch of blood tests. And, of course, they checked my cholesterol and my CBC and a few things, right, and said, well, everything looks good to me. And I said, well, there's something seriously wrong. So let's dig in and let's do a lot more tests. So I said, do every test you can do on a human being, and I'll pay cash for labs. I don't care. I just wanted to see, and look, I just needed answers. Mm-hmm. So they did a bunch of hormone panels on me, and I saw that the levels were really low. And I asked the physicians, I said, well, why are these low? And they said, well, we don't really know. We don't have anything to do with hormones. So ended up going to an endocrinologist. That was not any more helpful at the time. And I went to a urologist. He accused me of being on steroids. And that wasn't helpful at all, because that was a complete waste of time. So I thought, it doesn't appear to me that anybody really even knows anything about hormones. I couldn't really find anybody, at least I didn't find anybody that really made me feel like they had any knowledge. Mm-hmm. So then I went on this new thing called the internet, right? Right. And I typed in hormone, and there was this Journal of American Medical Association had just written an article. They took 10 40-year-old females and 10 40-year-old males, and they checked all of their testosterone levels. And all 10 of them, male and female, had about half the testosterone of a 20-year-old. So then I went, oh, wow. This is probably something that just happens as people age. And maybe I'm not really injured. Maybe I'm just going through an age-related decline. Maybe this is, something that could be fixed. Maybe there's a way out of this. So I found a guy in Europe who was an endocrinologist who treated hormone deficiencies. He was coming to Las Vegas, right, to teach hormones in this seminar. So I went and I paid as a physician. I'm not a physician. I paid to attend his course just to hear what he had to say. And he convinced everyone. I was sitting there with a bunch of doctors in the crowd, and he convinced us all that this is no big deal. It's very common. It happens all the time, and it's very treatable, and that we should all just take off and treat ourselves, right? And so since there was no place to go at the time, and back 25 years ago, you could get hormones so easy it wasn't even funny. They were just, it was nothing to get them, So I ordered some hormones from a place in Florida. They came to me. I basically applied the protocol that this endocrinologist had recommended. Mm-hmm. And within 3 weeks, I felt like I was born again. I was literally so high on life, I couldn't believe it. I thought, man, if I've transformed this much in 3 weeks, fixing one hormone, what in the hell is possible here? I mean, how crazy could this be? If I feel this good, I mean, how good could it get? then I thought, man, I got to know everything there is to know about this stuff. So I started like reading every single thing I could about hormones. 4 o'clock in the morning on Saturday night, everybody else out partying. I'm sitting home reading and learning, and I was nuts about it. Like I couldn't stop taking in information.
Yeah.
And I just found that I just got better and better and better. And it just kind of, the better I got, the more people started asking me to help them. And I said, well, I really can't help you. I'm not a doctor. And you got to go find, you got to go find your own way. And they're like, well, how the hell did you do that? And I told them what I've been doing. They're like, I got 4 kids. I can't do what you're doing. I can't go to seminars and fly all over hell. And so they said, can you please help me? And I said, well, not really. I mean, I really can't. I'm so busy and I got everything going on.
You
And
can guide people and educate, but you can't really do anything, at least legally or whatever.
Well, yeah, and I was thinking, look, I'm not a doctor. I'm just taking care of myself over here, And the disappointment, they'd look at me with this sad look like, man, I'm lost.
And puppy dog eyes.
Oh, totally. And I would just feel so bad. I thought, man, it's so sad that I can't really help you. But I can't. I just can't. And it started wearing on me that every time a new person would come along and they'd be like, wow, what got into you, man? You seem like a whole new human being. And, it was just, and every time they'd always want me to help them. And I would always feel like I just really couldn't do it. And then I finally started feeling so guilty about it that I thought, I got to find a way to help these people. So I met a couple of physicians and I said, look, if I come in and start giving you guys information and helping to teach you and provide information, can I send customers to you and will you take care of these people? And they both said they would. Unfortunately, I was going to train them in their free time. Well, nobody seemed to have any free time. So what ended up happening is the doctors would just call me and say, hey, what do I give this person? What do I do? And so it became a little challenging that way because I really didn't, I was still involved.
Yeah.
So eventually it got so out of control, I thought, man, I just have to create a place where people can go and get the help they need, put the medical people in place that can treat people. And, I just got to create a center where people can go. But for me, I knew it was going to take so much effort to create a place that I thought, I'm probably just going to have to do this in a big way because if I do it in a small way, it's just going to be an inconvenience and I'm probably going to have to do it big so it's worth, and I can reach enough people and really make an impact. And so, here we are 24 or 5 centers later. So I'm trying to do that, right? I'm trying to make an impact, and we're doing better at reaching people. We're reaching more people, and but man, it's been quite an experience. 25 years of working with hormones, and of course, work with males for quite a while, and then the female side became powerful because the males would say, now you got to help me with my wife. So
right. And women were so much more challenging. Oh my God, our cycles and menopause and
And you know something? Believe it or not, yes, definitely more complicated. But the good news is when you know the right information, it's not that bad. It's really it's more complicated, but it's really complicated when you don't know what you're doing, right? Then it's real complicated. And I don't think there's enough practitioners that have really been able to have the right training to really get it down right. So I was very fortunate to work with someone who owned a compounding pharmacy, and he was a genius when it come to female hormones. So he helped me a ton in my early part of owning a business, and he taught me so much about it. So I was able to help give a little input to those practitioners who could then make the right kind of difference for the females.
Yeah.
So,
wow. That's awesome. It's such a journey. I'm so grateful that you created this because, hormones are so, important. I know, we've talked about this before in terms of mental health. I mean, being able to help people with bipolar. And I mean, I went through postpartum depression so badly, and I know it was from my hormones.
Yeah.
There were other pieces involved too. We won't get into all of that. But I mean, mental health and hormones.
It's mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowing. And the gut health and the mind and the hormone. Like, these are such important, simple things that people don't know.
For sure.
Hormone balance, gut health. Like, you get
sure.
that shit under control, you are next level, like immediately.
No question about it.
Yeah.
I literally went from didn't want to live 3 weeks later to want to live forever. I see females, I speak to females regularly who are ready to jump off the bridge, and I'm making it. That's just
a little
a joke,
exaggeration.
but they're about ready to just flip their lid, right? They're literally ready to lose their mind, and in 15 minutes, they feel so good they can't believe it, and that's with a little bit of progesterone hormone, and their whole life changes. So. It can be that simple. It's a quick, little, easy adjustment. Will take you from tragedy to beauty in your life.
Okay, so let's do mine on that note.
Heck
So I had my labs done.
Okay.
I'm not tragedy, although there were times when I was chatting with you, I was very tragic.
Right.
The car accident I got into, which, have you ever been in a car accident outside of a race?
Yes. I've
You
been
have
in
been?
pretty bad
Did you
ones,
have an attorney that you worked with?
Nope.
You
nope.
didn't?
Nope. We didn't have attorneys back when.
That was a while ago.
That was a while ago. Yep.
Yeah, I have a good one.
Good.
If you ever need one, they
Good.
were so amazing. Yeah, they have a really catchy number. It's like 702-970 HERT or something like
Hertz.
that.
There you go.
Yeah,
Right
HERT.
on.
It was. They're so good. But after I had my car accident, I ended up breaking out. I have like a little bit of acne that comes and goes. I was stabilized for a little bit on hormones. It kind of reset me. I was off of it, and then that car accident just kind of jarred me.
Oh yeah.
So. And you did
Stressful
anticipate.
enough.
You did say that I'd probably be good for a while, and then at some point the hormones might, rage again or get out of whack. And I did not want to accept that, Dan. I wanted to just believe that no, I was just going to regenerate, and I was going to turn 28 because I am, even though my linear human chronologic age is not 28, I am telling myself that I am 28 and I'm going to live forever.
Not a problem.
As
Well,
a 28-year-old.
That's great.
So
What
if I
the
need
hell?
a little hormones right now to help support my 28 until I get in the EE machine and I can live forever,
Whatever.
we'll
There
do
you
that.
go.
So let's get your This is not medical advice. This is just educational.
Yeah.
Although I am going to get it sorted out medically. But
Well, what stands out in these labs, of course, you're doing a lot of animal protein. So of course
I
your
am doing the
cholesterol-
carnivore. Yes,
your
for everyone out
cholesterol's
there,
showing high.
they don't know I'm on the carnivore diet. We will do a podcast episode about that.
Mm-hmm. And
Which it's corrected my iron. I don't have to take iron supplements anymore, which I was chronically on. So,
right.
yes, there's cholesterol.
And let's talk about that real quick, because you just brought up a great subject. For all you women out there that are chronically deficient in iron, the reason for that is too much bleeding, okay? So you got to get the bleeding under control to get the iron deficiency under the control. So I'll tell, like I meet women, I say, they say, oh, you do hormones, okay. And I say, yeah, you want to do a little conversation about it? And they'll say, sure. And I'll say, tell me about menstruation, right? And they'll go, okay, what do you want to know? And I'll say, how heavy? And they'll say, if they say heavy, I go, okay, how many days? So if they say 7 days, I say, okay, you've got a severe progesterone deficiency.
Yeah.
And I say, how many days prior to menstruation do you have emotional sensitivity, anxiety, breast tenderness possibly, fluid retention, that type of thing, and just can't stop thinking, can't shut your brain off,
Yes.
overanalyze
Oh my God.
everything, right? And if they say a full week, pretty severe progesterone deficiency, pretty severe excess estrogen. So women in their 40s to 50 always, almost always, estrogens go up as you get closer to 50. So
Right.
The farther you get in your 40s, the worse this gets. And you make less progesterone, more estrogen, and that becomes a problem. It's very treatable, very easy to fix. You get the bleeding back under control, and then the iron deficiency goes away, right? The anemia clears up. No more bruising on the body, all that, right?
It's true, actually. That has lessened substantially.
Oh, yeah. You gotta get the bleeding under control. 3 days is fine, right?
Yeah, for me, it's 3 days. My cycles used to be like almost 21 days, sometimes less.
Yep.
Now they're closer to between 23 and 24.
Yeah, you get closer. Yeah.
But it's the acne thing that really bothers me the most right now. I don't know.
Well,
and it's different than it was before when I was having the other issue. I was getting the big cystic acne. Now it's like this little sprinkling around my chin, and it's annoying, but nothing else has changed.
So there's... So another thing real quick on the whole bleeding thing, like some women will say, well, I don't have heavy bleeding. Then I go, okay, are you bruising? And they go, yes, I am. I go, then you used to be a heavy bleeder, but now you're so anemic you can't bleed heavy because you can't even make a thick enough uterine wall to shed a lot because you're too anemic. And they go, yeah, wow, I am always bruising. So anyway, that's just because you're not heavy bleeding, if you're bruising, you still got the same problem.
You just have nothing to
now you
bleed
just don't
out.
have enough iron. That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And the fatigue and everything else comes into that.
That's right. And then so with the breakthrough acne, that is oil, a lot of oil production, right? Which means lots of androgenic hormone, right?
Yeah.
Which means now, when
my
I look at your
testosterone was
labs,
low, right?
you do not have high androgenic hormones. So having said that, how in the hell do you have all this oil production, right?
Right.
It's very simple.
How, Dan? Tell me how.
It's very simple. You have androgenic overexpression. So even though your levels are very deficient, even though they're overexpressing because there's estrogens are bound up. So the estrogens will push down the activity of the androgens. But there's so much progesterone deficiency that the estrogens are all bound with sex hormone binding globulin. So even though your androgens are low, they dominate.
Yeah.
So if you used more progesterone, your acne would go away.
So more progesterone.
Yep.
So we did this before, progesterone. Then I had all these side effects, bloating, breast tenderness, all the things.
Yep.
And that's because
you needed more.
I needed more.
That's
it
right.
was
What's crazy
unbound.
is just last night I was talking to somebody, right? And she said, I put on my estrogen and I got worse. I said, add more. And she goes, what?
I know. When you told me that, I'm like, are you effing crazy?
Yep, that's right.
I'm going to have
Oh, yeah. It's hard to do.
It is, yeah.
But she literally is using right now 600 milligrams a day.
Yeah.
Most people use 100. So she's having to use 600 to get her estrogen level balanced to the estrogen, right?
Right.
So you just got to add until the anxiety, emotional sensitivity, the breast tenderness, all that goes away. Then you're balanced. Then you got to go, how the hell did we get here? How did the estrogen level get this high? Well, are you doing a bunch of caffeine? Are you running? Are you overstressing the body, right?
I'm not doing.
Are you
I'm not doing
hyperstimulating?
a lot of
right?
caffeine.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. You're busted.
I'm busted.
You're busted. So this
Yes,
is the thing. Hyperstimulation, right? Hyperstimulation. So what's the body do when it's cold? It shivers. What does it do when it's hot? It sweats. What does it do when it's overstimulated? Well, the body says, I have to destimulate myself. So it takes these little sex hormone binding globulins, it's called, these little binders, binds up all these hormones to try to kind of reduce the energy available in the body, because the body says, well, if you overheat me, I'm going to find a way to cool myself. If you underheat me, I'm going to find a way to warm myself. If you overstimulate me all the time, I'm going to find a way to destimulate myself. So when it does that, it starts binding up the estrogens, and then the androgens become dominant. And even though there's not a lot of them, here comes that oil production. So the skin tells the tale, you know.
So more progesterone, maybe some
for
estrogen
sure.
blockers.
Estrogen, well, and
Maybe.
it's not estrogen blocker. There's a dim supplement that
Yes.
stops the reabsorption of estrogens through the GI tract.
Okay.
So they're really good. The dim products are good. But without the progesterone, you're going to go nowhere. And you just got to use as much as you have to balance the estrogen. And then you got to figure out how to get that estrogen back down, right? How do you get it down? You
So
got to
no
keep
more-
that body calm.
No more caffeine.
No more caffeine. Caffeine is the antichrist for
Sugar.
acne and things
Yeah,
like that.
sugar's
Yep.
bad for all the other things, but all right.
Caffeine is a brutal.
All right, I'm kicking caffeine. This is the last thing I have. I have
Yeah,
no carbs, no candy, none of those things, and now no fucking caffeine.
Oh, man.
I will be living as a 28-year-old forever.
There you go.
I just asked it, and now I have to commit to it. So, right, no caffeine. We're done. This
yep.
is going to be tea.
There you
Next
go.
time.
There you go.
All right, so we are over, but I do need to do our rapid fire. Lana, can I do it? You give me a little, like 2 extra minutes? All right. All right, so this is the fun part, everybody. I'm going to be playing games. Actually, I had this wheel, this spinny wheel that I'm going to have next week. It's a spinner. It's super fun. I'm going to have a different kind of game to get to know my guest every week. So this is just rapid fire questions. Are you ready, Dan?
I'm ready.
Holtz,
Bring it on.
for the new game. Okay. So I'm just going to ask them. You can add an explanation if you want to, but we're just going to like shoot through. Okay. Reality TV shows or documentaries?
Documentaries.
Dancing or singing?
Singing.
Oh, that was a tough one.
Yeah.
You're a dancer?
No.
But
I thought, sure as hell not a dancer, but if I
Behind
had to
closed
choose
doors.
one of the two, I'd rather take a shot at singing, for crying out loud.
okay. I was thinking maybe you like did a little dance by yourself at home,
Yeah,
you know.
no, boy, that never happened.
Okay. Cats or dogs?
Yeah. Dogs.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
A particular dog?
Chinese pugs are my favorite. I
really?
just love them.
Oh, that's so cute. They're adorable. They like snort, right?
Yes, they do. Yep, they sure do.
And they're just like everywhere all over
yeah,
you.
for sure.
That's cute. If you could have any superpower, what would it be? I mean, you already have one. You have this superpower of positivity and to heal people, but a different superpower.
Impacting people in a positive way.
You have that already.
That is the superpower I want.
have
That's the
it.
one that I gotta have. I mean, just
Okay.
making a difference in people to where what I say somehow moves them in a positive way and makes an impact that's positive in their life. That's the most powerful thing to me in the world.
Oh my God. Yes, I love it. All right. What is the last movie that made you cry?
Boy,
Even just one.
Racing in the Rain, I think is the name of it. And it was an amazing, amazing movie. It was like a kind of a sleeper movie. Not too many people know about it, but Racing in the Rain, I think is what it was called. It's about a race car driver, and his wife died of cancer, and the dog knew it, and it's a hell of a movie. Like, you got to watch it. Like, it actually really got me emotional. So
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. This is a tough one for you because you live in California and in Vegas.
Yeah.
Ocean or mountain?
Well, I'm not a big ocean guy, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I love the mountains. I love Las Vegas. I just absolutely love this place. And I like watching out the window, looking at these beautiful mountains around here. Definitely, I'm going to take mountains.
Okay, cool. What is your go-to comfort food?
Go-to comfort food. I love potatoes. I don't know why. I've always loved potatoes.
Like mashed or baked or
Any. I just love potatoes. I know they're not all that great for you, but man, I love potatoes. I'm from Northwest Iowa.
That's right.
Absolutely love them. I love, beef and potatoes, man.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Lana, you're a potato person too?
Love potatoes.
Isn't that crazy?
Do you?
What the hell's going on with us?
What's your favorite potato preparation method?
Either mashed or baked potatoes.
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up on baked potatoes. That's great.
Yeah.
With sour cream, bacon
Sour
bits,
cream, chives, bacon,
the whole
cheese.
thing.
Hey, there you go.
There you go.
go.
What was the best piece of advice you ever received?
Eckhart Tolle, or Tolle, however you want to
I
pronounce it.
know. I
Yep.
don't know how to pronounce
Is
it either.
he has made a difference in my life. So, it's very hard for me to listen to him because he's so mellow and calm. And I like Tony Robbins so much. He's such a great friend, and I love listening to him. He fires
They're like
me
the
up.
complete opposite.
Yeah, he's totally.
But both
but
powerful in the same
I
way.
will say, like, Tony's made a big difference in my life. Just he's really impacted me. But then Eckhart too. And Eckhart's the one that got me really accepting everything the way it's coming at me, making me really understand that everything is going the way it's supposed to go. Trust the universe. Trust that it's feeding you what you need to know. And so he made a hell of a difference in my life.
All right. So it's the trusting that everything goes the way it's supposed to go. That's amazing. It's funny, actually, Eckhart, I read his book. I went to Tanzania, Africa for 3 months, a medical mission in
That's
university.
Cool. Good for you.
And there were 2 books, maybe more than that, but 2 books that I took with me. One was like a book about chakras and energy and spirituality, and I was really starting to get into that. And I was, 20, I think at the time, 21. And then Eckhart Tolle's, The Power of Now. And going to Africa for some reason, I was, starting to awaken, I guess, a little bit. And it was so powerful being away from family. And I knew it might be a culture shock. And 3 months is a long time in this third world country. And it really allowed me to stay really present and aware and absorb everything I needed to from that experience without getting too, homesick and culture shocked and whatnot. It was. So I absolutely love him, that presence. And, it's so funny. I just wanted to, before we wrap up, this is exactly what I teach. Like, what we covered today is really all encompassing in the sense of, we talked about the physical, mastering our physical body, right? We talked about the hormones and the actual physiology. We talked about the energy medicine part, which is sort of the new way of being able to conquer our bodies. And the funny thing about Eckhart Tolle and Tony Robbins, who are also, not surprisingly, 2 very impactful people that were in my life and my development. Eckhart is really about connecting with your inner self. And that is where that authenticity, connecting with your energy being, your energy power from wherever you believe you come from. But we are all energy. Our physical body is, our being is. And that's so valuable to be able to create that fulfillment and that flow and that peace and the strength in your mind. And Tony is like the harnessing the power of your mind, right?
Sure.
And true fulfillment is being able to have that power of your mind and harnessing it to create from a place of stillness, of connectedness, of peace, right? Authenticity, and having the physical vitality to be able to support that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I so love how we completely pulled it all together at the end have, this is how you have mastered your life, having all these pieces in place, how I've mastered my life.
That's right.
And continuing to expand. And really, I want all of the listeners to really take that to heart as well. Please don't forget the total transformation to really create the life that you want. You must have that inner peace and stillness inside, that inner connection, that power of your mind to really harness it and know your beliefs and affirm and just claim, like Dan did on his journey, like I have on my journey. It just, you will not deviate from that positive mindset. Choose gratitude and peace. And then pull that into your body, because the body is what we need to support us to live it and experience it and materialize it and live it in joy. So remember to not just focus on one. We really need to balance ourselves, and each piece is equal to create everything that you want. Thank you, Dan, so much for being
Thanks
here.
for having me, Leslie. I just loved spending this time with you, and love what we're trying to get out a great message here, and hope everybody out there loves what we had to say. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. And we'll have you back when your center gets up and going.
Okay, sounds great.
And we'll talk all about it, and maybe we'll do some videos in the clinic of me in the machine, buzzing away.
Absolutely, we will.
Love that.
We'll have big old grand opening there. We'll have you there, and we'll Be fun stuff.
Get me looking 28 and being
You
28
already look
forever.
28. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
but it's
for crying out
sustaining
loud?
it. All right. All right. I won't fight you. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.